All right, thank you, Linwood. And I assume you can all see my screen.
Yes.
Point. Okay, so I'll start with the document here, the boring document, just to give you a sense of what we're doing. But first of all, it's always great to be connected to the Commonwealth Monument Project and the work that all of you are doing. And I work with just a 1 minute overview. I work with about 10 to 12 students every semester in different capacities on public projects and concerning Harrisburg. I'm not the only one who works with students at Messiah. Jean Corey, she's retired, but she still works with Center for Public Humanities fellow students. And Gladys Robolino, you'll see her name. She's the director of the Center for Public Humanities. And then we have two Sarah Myers that we work with, a librarian, Sarah Myers, and public historian, Sarah Myers. And they both work on these public humanities projects. So this semester, our teams include the projects that we're working on. You can see here in this digital collections. These are the areas of focus this semester. So we've got someone working on digital collections, and I'll show you what this looks like in a minute. Harrisburg Historical, it's a new site that we're going to launch in, we're in the process of doing a slow rollout, and then we'll probably do a big launch by late spring or by summer. We continue to work on a collection of stories related to Harrisburg's Lincoln Cemetery. And then social media and website, we're going to put a bit more effort into our social media and website communications this semester. We've kind of let that fall to the wayside in the past, and so we're going to be thinking about Facebook and Instagram. And then we have these two students, Issa Karen and Phoebe Lemon, who are going to be helping out specifically with the Jubilee for Democracy. And Phoebe is a public history student, and Issa is a design student. I did invite them. I don't see them there in the audience, so I'm sure if they are here or not. But we have a lot of students working on different projects, and just to give you a sense of these projects, we have, of course, the landing ship, which is Digital Harrisburg. I'll show you that in a minute. The digital collections that accompany the libraries, physical collections. We have a student named Kylie Smith who's developing those collections. A series of story maps that two of which are mostly finished. We need to finalize those story maps given the recommendations from late in the fall from some of you. And then the Lincoln Cemetery story map is a current one that we're working on. Harrisburg Historical, I'll show you that. And then these are all finished, the student videos and documentaries, but it's just worth pointing them out because I think they're a little hidden gem because they involve interviews with Pennsylvania past players, interviews with Yvette Davis, with Linwood, and with others, and there's a lot there. So let me go to show you these live websites. Can you see my web browser now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically a digital collection that mirrors or was designed when we launched this, designed to mirror the physical collections of sources at the library, at the Dauphin County Library System. I don't think that it is very parallel right now, but this is one thing we're going to be developing and that we'll continue to work on. The Thomas Morris Chester is probably the most developed. We have something like, gosh, how many items? 261 items that we've collected, digital objects related to Thomas Morris Chester. This collection, this Chester digital collection, is currently available. Anyone can access this. And I'll show you where you can access it from. So if you go to Digital Harrisburg, this is our landing ship. This is the portal site. And you go to resources projects. I basically copied out the document links there at the very top. Okay, and you can follow these links to recent projects that we've been working on, and I'll continue to update that. So this is basically just a bibliographic database, but it has capacity of, when we link to stories in the cloud, to actually go to the stories themselves. That would involve a lot more work, but that is something we could do on a small scale if we picked out the people that we wanted to do that with. This was a project that students worked on last semester. It's a very simple story map, but it's really nicely designed. Kellen Amy and Josh Flores and another student worked on basically just a simple tour of the videos of the Pennsylvania past players in action. And so there's a little biographical clip about each of those Pennsylvania past players, and then maybe a source. And this is probably not going to play the volume for you because I think I forgot to share the sound.
Good day, young people and those who have aged like myself. My name is William C.
Try this
Goodrich.
again. And this time,
Station
I will
master
share
for the
my sound.
Underground Railroads.
And I became a businessman. I was born enslaved on the Carroll plantation in that slave state called Maryland.
So we have a stop for basically every Pennsylvania past player that was filmed last year by film students and by some of the public history students. So that's a really cool little. It's a very simple story map, but we hope that the library might promote this. Might find a place for this on their website.
Let me catch up with you, David.
Yeah.
For all of the descendants,
Yes.
of the 100 Voices who are on this call,
Yes.
we can also provide this for you to put on your family website or your family Facebook page, so that as your descendants and relatives come home for the holidays, home for the special red letter days in your family, and as they pass down this corridor of Walnut from the State Street Bridge to Front Street, they'll look up. And we hope that the library will find a place for it, but we know that all of you have Facebook pages, and that's a place where it can be posted on.
Yeah, great, thank you. And I'll just I forgot to just mention this, that one of our students, really talented student, produced a full-fledged 30-minute documentary on the Pennsylvania past players, which includes interviews with Linwood and Yvette and PA past players. It's a really nice. So it's here on this website, so you can access it on this website. I'll just show you another story map collection that we put together. This focuses on the life and times of Thomas Morris Chester. This was mostly put together in 2023 in the spring, last year, about a year ago. But it basically tells his, the story of his travels, of his upbringing. It takes you around the world, right? It gives you a sense of his global travels. And then we embedded in this interviews with Thomas Morris Chester, Eric Jackson as Thomas Morris Chester, answering questions about his upbringing. So this is a really nice little, each of these represents a chapter of Chester's life. It's just, that's okay.
And for our service leadership partners on the call, please use this if you can, if you will, both in February and June and throughout the year, as ways of perhaps your workplace team, your church team, your community team would be uplifted by these stories. It's a really exceptional piece, but we need to get it out the door and into public use.
Yeah. That's right. And so there's a lot here on Chester, just so much to explore here. And I'm really excited about this one. This is a completely different platform. This platform is called CurateScape, and it's produced by Cleveland State University, and Messiah Center for Public Humanities invested in a site license for it, which means that once we launch this, there will be an app, a downloadable app called Harrisburg Historical. And it's basically an app for place-based storytelling. So we have so far about 6 of these stories that are finalized. These stories include short essays, about 1,000 words. They include video and images. So here's a little short documentary short that was made by Kelly Ganey about the monument center, the gathering at the Crossroads Monument. And then there are images here, and then locational information. And we have compiled, or our goal here is in the spring and then over the summer to release a tour. We tentatively called it the Chester Way Tour. This is a tour of important places in our region, especially Harrisburg, which tell the long historical quest for civil rights. So we start in the 18th century, and we go all the way up to the present. And so, yeah, go ahead.
May I add that when we said to all of the partners and descendants and service leaders, when we say the Chester Way, we're purposefully playing on the wordsmith, that Chester's quest for democracy changed across the arc of his life. He tried several routes, several ways, from colonization to the USCT. And so it's the way he lived, it's the people who lived around him that shaped the community. So this is not literally about Chester, it's a view of Chester's world, and therefore all of you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. A really important distinction. Yeah, all of these stories. So we've got a story on Frederick Douglass, a story on African-American travel and lodging in the city, one on the Lincoln Street School and Education, Harrisburg's Lincoln Cemetery. I think this is Wesley Union AME. So these are in development, and we also these are final-ish, but we also want feedback from people too, for accuracy and tone and everything. One final project I just want to share with you, which is more in a developing stage. We've been slowly working with Seoul and with Harrisburg University to digitize the stones at Lincoln Cemetery. And so our students work on this every semester. And so I'll just point you here in the direction of Search the Cemetery. This is really in beta version right now, so it's not in any way complete. But we have drone photography of drone photographs of the cemetery, and you can do a search on last name. And so right now, this is really kind of basic. So Chester, right? Chester Zedricks comes up. And there is this stone. And the goal here is to eventually include, every headstone would have a photograph and would have its information transcribed. Obviously, this is a huge project, and we're not going to finish it.
David, would you put Ephraim Slaughter in?
Yeah, let's see. So this has an older data set that it's mining, but we can see here. Oh, there he is. So let's zoom to.
So again, if you're having your family reunions and your family gatherings, your memorials, your red letter dates or your memorial dates, if your family is in Lincoln Cemetery, you can find them, you can plan your walk, talk, history lesson, Sunday school class, girls club, through this site.
Yeah. And then I'll just mention kind of in closing that our students have done a lot of work just with the Pennsylvania Past Players. And if you just wanted to see some of the videos that we've gathered and generated, the Messiah's Center for Public Humanities channel, which I linked to here in the projects, is this student videos right there. That YouTube channel contains documentaries, interviews, all kinds of developing videos. So that's what I have from my side.
David, would you go back to your opening outline
Yes.
quickly? So obviously, you know, while we have been head down into the wind, pushing forward through time, Messiah has been documenting and contextualizing and presenting 19th century content in 21st century ways. And I applaud them and thank them. We need to use this. It is invisible if all this content, it's been an incredible intergenerational and cross-cultural partnership. And we will continue that partnership in the projects that are coming forward, particularly that Isa and Phoebe will be working with Bob Welch on our installation of soft sculpture, is what I'm calling it, public art installation of 25 of the 100 families on the monument pedestal, and 25 of the 100 families that are featured in the book, 100 Voices, and on the digitalharrisburg.com site. Before I introduce Bob, I want to say that this was a process that began over COVID. It took us a very long time. Our group of colleagues and friends, whom we refer to as the history detectives, looked at the 100 names. The 7 history detectives ranked the 100 names, and 25 people, or to be exact, 21 people plus the 4 orators came to the top. We will install soft sculpture banners of those 25 on the south lawn of the Irvis building, beginning, God willing, April 1st. But the design work really begins with this conversation and with the collaboration of things like David's digital group helping us to find other visuals of people who we don't have photographs, or descendants, if you will, digging into your family's photographs and help us to scan or digitize the 25 people. These are like the banners that you see hanging for the various events across the city from polls. They will all be on the south lawn. There is a resolution, David and Ruby and Bob, a resolution that has just come out today out of committee and will now go to the General House to rename the South Lawn the Irvis Equality Circle as of Juneteenth, 2024. We're going to precede that event by hanging the images and the likenesses of 25 spirits that stood on that on the lawns. And Bob Welch is a colleague to many of us, and you know him well. He has stepped up to help us pull this project together. Frontline team will be David, Bob, the 2 Messiah team members, and I, but we'll be trying to collect visuals, images, and other graphic that can be used. It takes this beyond advertising, David, you know, and really makes it public art installation as though these people were spirits were standing on under them. So, Bob Wells, welcome to the table, and you've been doing some hard work. Give us the facts and a kind of.
Well, first off, thanks, and just stunning work, David. All you and your students, and boy, does it deserve to be seen, right, Lenwood? Hopefully, I'm working with Lenwood and lots of great partners on making the banner installation all that it can be. So I'm working with some people to fabricate the banners, and we'll finalize the art. We'll get it camera ready, David. Under all the watchful eyes of this whole committee, make sure that it is what everyone wants it to be, because I think for a lot of folks, this will be the window that opens on the greater work, right, Lenwood? These banners will be the way the folks see. It's the door they can kind of knock on and walk through. My role is merely as a partner to try to make the nuts and bolts of this work in a timely fashion, and to keep all the artistic and creative eyes on the work before it's finalized. And I'm really honored to be circling back in I guess this is my semi-retirement, Lenwood, back to working with the past players and these initiatives that, Lenwood, you and I were working on 15 years ago, right?
Yes, the past players were hatched as an idea in Jump Street 15 years ago. Bob, talk about this, the company that we've selected, and about the size of the banners. Many of the folks whose ancestors will be honored in the banners will be on this call, and so they can visualize.
Yeah. They're much like the banners you'd see, in my mind, like on a college campus, on a walkway, before an event, or in those hometown hero settings with a really stout mounting kit, that the banner that is about 36 inches long and about 2 feet wide. Lenwood has chosen some lovely little points on the bottom of the banners. They look great. So there will be the image of the person. There'll be some verbiage, some narrative that identifies the person and their role, their historic role, as I understand it, right, Lenwood? And then I think there'll be some other artwork that we work together with Messiah to get camera ready for some of the banners. But these will be really, I'll use the word normal in the fact that, in the sense that these are the kinds of things you expect, very high quality from Speed Pro, the fabricator. We've looked through their inventory and chosen what we believe to be a nice heavy material, David, that'll stand up to weather. So I think we'll all be proud of the content representation.
And if our vision, friends and descendants, our vision is, if you're standing on the south side of Walnut Street or Chester Way, and you're looking at the monument, you will see these 25 people standing behind them on the lawn, or reflected on the lawn. The hometown heroes you've all seen of military, but we'd like to push it, David, your designers, to work with Bob and the fabricators to push it so it really looks like a tableau vivant, and when the past players are actually there, you will actually have the banners, the bronzes, and the live people, like in a landscape. I'm hoping that our target, slow down then. Our target is April 1st to begin to install. Our request is for them to stay up through November 30th. And that will encompass the primary and the national election, Bob.
Right.
Since the monument began with the salute to the value of the vote. And these 100 people on the monument, of which 25 are reflected on the lawn, will speak about all those people who protected the vote and passed it to this generation.
Lenwood, if I might, as you've envisioned it, and as I'm sure we'll get it installed, it's a solemn and celebratory call to action.
Yes.
And it will remind people of responsibility. And that's what I'm so excited about.
Well, Bob came up with the button for us and the bumper sticker, because when he said yes, he talked about codifying our conversation, that this wasn't just an elevator operator or just a porter or just a housekeeper or just a dragman. Those people had come up through bondage and into freedom and lifted themselves into the dignified positions that deserved more, that deserved, as Bob puts it, just a justice. And so I'm hoping that through this campaign, we'll get just a justice for these 100 people. We're rolling, Dr. Pettigrew. We have really, of the 25, we have decent imagery for about 11. And we have some who, like Jacob Compton, we have the continuous problem that we have no image of Jacob Compton. Although Bob, our artist, did do like a court drawing composite of Compton's descendants in order to make the image for the monument. So again, I'm reaching out to you all. If you have a great picture of your descendant that we can either stand and or do an illustration of. Doc, some of these might be illustrations and not, and some of the pictures which you sent me that may not actually be of high enough DPI, but I'm sure your young designers and Bob and his company can put your questions in the chat as we talk about the technically GPS is approved banner, but we think of it as public art, and that will be our aesthetic approach so that it's a unified look and statement. Those of you who are religious and know what I mean by an Advent candle, Advent card, that these people pop out of the. Bob, weather, would you talk just about the banners, the slots, just some hardware kind of things about durability?
Yeah. Heavy metal hardware that is approved for the mounting on these kind of posts. Heavy gauge fabric. I'm so sorry, Lenwood. I don't have that technical. I think it's an 18 weight. I'm not sure, but it's a heavy enough vinyl to take a wind cut and not lose its structure. So per everyone's suggestion, Lenwood, I do believe we'll have a couple of wind cuts so that so obviously when the weather kicks up, the banners will still be resilient. So I think what we have here is again, a really nice product that will look beautiful for the duration of the installation and maybe even beyond, right? We could probably pull them down and clean them and redeploy if anyone wants that.
Them.
Yeah, and repurpose them into communities, into cemeteries for celebrations and such. But I do think that we've decided to invest enough in the product that we'll all be proud of it.
Yes. And one last piece is we will replicate the installation, David, for Amtrak station, so that it will be our 24 by 36 posters in the Amtrak station on the departure. then that's hundreds of thousands of people who will see the stories. David has introduced me across a long period of time to the value of a QR code. So there'll be a QR code on each of the banners, each of the posters in the Amtrak station of your descendant that'll take the viewer to the family page on Digital Harrisburg. Something to look forward to on the landscape as we continue to make the vanished neighborhood reappear, at least in our memory. I wanted to ask Barbara Barksdale if she could enter the conversation for a moment and link into the hallowed ground piece, because we know that many of these folks are in Midland Cemetery, Lincoln Cemetery, or Wim Howard Day Cemetery. So as we gather families, we also hope that we will do stewardship in their hallowed grounds. So Barb, could you join us and tell us what's going on with Midland and what's going on with Pennsylvania hallowed grounds, and what red letter days should we put on our calendar?
Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I've seen some of your wonderful faces. Thank you for inviting me, Linwood. Let me start off with Midland, which you know that's my big baby, and it's right behind me over my shoulder here. We're going to be having our annual memorial event on May the 25th. And we'll be doing the unveiling of the plaque for the National Register of Historic Places, which we got to that accomplishment just last year in April. So we got the plaques. I have them already. I just have to get them installed. And we're going to, like I said, do the unveiling at our memorial service. So I hope everybody's there. So on Saturday, May the 25th at 1 p.m. So with that being said, then let me switch over to the Pennsylvania Hallowed Grounds, which we have expanded over the years since you and I have worked together over this. And oh God, almost 15 years ago for that or more. So we've come a long way, Linwood. We have holding a lot more cemeteries over the years. We're documenting those. That includes even Lincoln Cemetery in Harrisburg, Lincoln Cemetery at Gettysburg, and Lincoln Cemetery across the river there. And in the Camp Hill region, but anyway, we're moving right along with trying to help the stewards around the state to accomplish what they need to do with the restoration and preservation of their individual cemeteries. We're trying to make sure that the stewards are getting the help that they need, giving them advice on how to do certain things, get a tree removed or whatever. We're trying to be that support system so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, trying to make sure that the headstone is preserved and cleaned up properly, or that the landscaping is correct, or grabbing some rules and make sure that people in the community know how they should act or not act in a cemetery. So it has really grown nicely, and the stewards as well as the cemeteries are coming along quite nicely over the years. Some of the ones that you actually got to visit some time ago have either moved forward and making sure that they got their memberships and they got the people that want to be part of their board, or and there's some of them that have not, because of the people passing away and not passing the torch on to the next generation. So Hallowed Grounds has been a remarkable project for me, and I'm just so delighted to know that we can go into the schools and the colleges and whatever to show and share the information that we have gleaned from our research, that we can pull it into the websites or the multimedia sources that's out there now. And because when I first started, there was no thing such as a cell phone even to document. Right. So we've come a long way, but Hallowed Grounds is doing their thing. We're expanding. We got some new board members, and we are trying to cover the entire state and beyond. Whenever we're doing presentations for the National African American Historical and Genealogy Society. So we're connecting throughout the United States and abroad to share with them our information that we have right here.
Let me catch up with you. Several really important things. First of all, congratulations on all the really footwork. I mean, going through bushes and trash yards to find cemeteries that have been forgotten, buried in. But you have two important dates that we should put on our 2024 calendar for families. One is your Midland date. Would you repeat that again, that date?
That's going to be on May the 25th. It's a Saturday. The Saturday always before Memorial Day. We have it on Saturday.
And
Okay.
several of our descendants. The other is your statewide conference date.
That's going to be in October. That's always in October. In fact, I should have pulled that date up for us, but
and that's where families who want to do history about the cemeteries that their descendants are in can connect with Barbara's local partner or collaborating cemetery.
Right. Right now it's slated for October the 19th. And that's going to be done by Zoom also at this point. But what we also have with the PA Hallowed Grounds is we have sessions, you know, throughout the year, so that like the next one that's coming up will deal with I believe it's genealogy. And then the following one will then, in a couple of months, will then be the one that would talk about the stewards and our consultants that we had hired, because we did get a grant for from the National Trust to help several of the stewards or the cemeteries. And some of them received a cash amount to help with getting trees down, whatever. And then others just was given a consultant that was hired just to review what has been done by the stewards and what can be done by the stewards in the future. So they were given a plan of action for that. But we're going to be having the one session will be coming up soon, and that announcement will be made actually next week during February, and I will send that information along to you when I get it. Okay, once we
excellent. And
okay.
In the meantime, families who are planning 24 family reunions consider the conference as a lifelong learning session for your family or a stewardship day. And you can either check your own records or check the 100 Voices on digitalharrisburg.com to find the cemetery that your descendants are buried in. And if they are a partner of Barbara's statewide coalition, we can hook you up with a service day as part of our whole homecoming for democracy.
And then one of the things I
you're
forgot.
a descendant, and your descendant is going to be one of the 25 in the installation. Would you tell us quickly about Peter?
Peter Sullivan Blackwell. Yes. But you know, I forgot there's another day coming up for Earth Day, which is on April the 22nd. And that's for all the cemeteries across the state to reach out to volunteers that may come to their cemeteries and help with cleanup and documentation or whatever, you know, digitalization, whatever is needed for those particular cemeteries. Each one will be, you know, heading up their own. We're just making sure that if they have any announcements that needs to be made, that, you know, they can trickle it down through the PA Hallowed Grounds. But for Peter Sullivan Blackwell, he was a newspaper editor and publisher here in the borough of Stilton. He reached out through the United States with his newspapers. He gave great factual information, as well as he gave information that was in line with what people of color needed to know. And he became the very first council person, Black councilman for the borough of Stilton. And he was helpful with the hygienic school for colored children. He was helpful with writing up documents for people not to be lynched here in Pennsylvania. He was just a remarkable man. And unfortunately, when he died in the Dauphin County poorhouse. And so he was actually, they was going to bury him there, but fortunately, by the grace of God, somebody from the borough of Stilton was able to claim his body, and he was buried at the Midland Cemetery. So
this is what Bob Welsh would refer to as just a justice. You know, history would write him off by his end in the poorhouse, and not by the incredible work he did. His banner is going to hang on the Commonwealth side of the lawn, opposite the State Library, because of his work for literacy, and also on the corridor which is our Bethel Trail corridor to the Justice Building, because of his work for anti-lynching work in Hazleton, you know, and in Carlisle. So, Barbara, you'll represent us as our history detective this year, as a service.
I would be glad to. I'll do whatever I can to make sure that our history is not forgotten and that we teach everyone, because we don't want our history to be erased. We won't let it be erased, and we're going to be out there stomping the grounds just like Peter would have done and everybody else from this area would have done, to make sure that the history is taken care of.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much, Barb. This is being taped, but I'll also post. We have some great friends at the Dauphin County Public Library. They have been working on our Thomas Morris Chester collection with us. The library's logo, if you look at the library's logo, it's a circle of books that are open, 8 books that are open. And so what we have done with the Chester collection this year, Dr. Pettigrew, is we have, let me slow down. In the past 2 years, we have increased 158 titles in the Dauphin County Library system on democracy and justice, 1850 to 1920. That accomplishment is good on paper, but the fact that it's a list that is rather uninviting caused us to rethink how we should present the collection to the public. And so the Dauphin County Library system and the Chester Center has come up with 8 themes of Chester, one like each book of his life. And each theme has 8 books, 4 on one side and 4 on the other side, of a bookmarker that says, these are books about life in Dauphin County, 1838 to 1850, through the eyes of Chester. These are books about Chester and liberation and colonization. I wish I could show you the artwork. Absolutely beautiful. The bookmarkers are finished and will begin to be distributed February 1st. And they line up again to 8 themes about Chester's way of looking at equity, democracy, and justice, and 64 new titles for library card holders. That's the good news. The bad news is they don't distribute those pieces outside of the library. So you will have to pick them up, but they always overprint for us. So again, if you have a family event, a community event, a church or fellowship event, and you would like this little extra little something, in New Orleans we call it lagniappe, this little card, 8 books, we will distribute them across the 8 months of our program year, 1 card each month, and they'll come out. David Pettigrew, they're also going to carry for us the Messiah College's, Messiah University's Do You Know Me card? And would you talk a little bit about how that card originated and
Yeah, so the Do You Know Me card was came out of the Commonwealth Monument Project. So we were in the midst of the pandemic, and we realized that social media was going to be an important way to connect with descendants of those that were being celebrated in the monument. And so our students had begun to collect biographical information about each of these people. And one of our students had the idea to create a little card, do you know me? As a way of locating, the descendants, connecting descendants with the stories that we were trying to tell of their ancestors. And so we would, we minted a card for every individual that was on the pedestal, and then we post them on social media on the Old 8th Ward Facebook page, and people began to find us. It was exciting that people would email us and would reach out to us, and Lynn realized at a certain point that the quest for these ancestors was redeeming the quest for fugitive freedom seekers, because the bounty office was only a couple of blocks away from where the monument is today. And McAllister's bounty office would try to would put up posters seeking those who were in search of their freedom. And so this little car, we also put these posters up on the state capitol lawn, right? Linwood found permission for us to do that. So that was just a really exciting
yard signs.
Yard signs, right? And so I love the redemption of something that was ugly in the past, by bringing positive attention to these people and the differences they made in our nation's history.
It generated a lot of information that became the 100 Voices book. We know a lot more now, and we're looking for a lot more people. I think the last count was that we have discovered descendants of 37 now we have discovered several descendants, but 37 families, so we are looking, we want to find the descendants of all 100 families, and the library is willing to, let me go back a square. So David is right. The Old 8th Ward is known to be an Underground Railroad safe house community, and yet the bounty office was a few blocks away, and they put up wanted sign. So now we are culturally appropriating the wanted sign by putting it out there, and we'd like all of you to help us. The library is going to redesign a piece and put the list and the Do You Know Me's, David, out to their card carrying membership. But we would also like, once that artwork is done, is for the 3,700 families to connect, to put out, because everybody knows the descendants through their paradigm with that descendant. And I dealing with my sisters today about, we each know my mother in a different way. So we'd like to collect all the stories. And David has a method of collecting the stories online. If people go to digitalharrisburg.com, David, how do they respond? And what can they post there about the?
Yeah, we have a contact email on digitalharrisburg.com. You can actually submit a comment through the website directly, and indicate that you have information about the ancestor, or that you're a descendant of the ancestor. And then what we've done in the past is connect your family to, what we call the White Carnation Society in the past, but it's basically a group that wants to recognize that you are a descendant. And so there's a process whereby we connect mostly to Linwood, and so we'll follow up with an email reaching out to you to create that connection and to inform you of the events which are going to happen in 2024.
And this is our power to convene, that we're using our power to convene and to gather around family and democracy this year. And so the library will create, using David and Messiah's prototype, an original card, an update, and do a flood during Black History Month and again during Juneteenth. But we'll also have that as a PDF that you can send to any of your descendants or relatives.
Linwood, I think Ruby has a question or a comment.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Ruby. Ashley will have, Bob, would you read her comment from the chat room? If
I see her hand up, so I was just she.
Yes, but I am not the moderator. So.
Yeah, I don't see a question in the chat, but I see that she has her hand up. Can anyone unmute her?
Yes, Ashley can as the moderator.
Okay.
Yes, and Ruby can unmute herself as well. I'm wondering maybe she accidentally clicked it. It's
Gotcha. I just didn't want to leave her unnoticed.
Yeah. Great. So we're happy to announce that M&T Bank will be the official sponsor of the Homecoming Jubilee for Democracy on June 22nd on the South Lawn. And we are trying to bring as many of the families home that weekend. It is the weekend after Juneteenth, to have a reunion on the lawn. And David, a photograph similar to Great Day in Harlem, or where you have this incredible photographic time capsule kind of moment for families, but also between the primary and the national election, looking at the real work that we have to do to honor our descendants by making sure that democracy is around next year. So we'll hope that you mark that. It is a month after Barbara's Memorial Day event, so those are two great times to come. You'll hear more about that, but M&T Bank officially presented us with a check for sponsorship to bring the descendants of the old 8th Ward home. And we'll be doing 6 programs, 3 before the homecoming event and 3 after the homecoming event, to continue to contextualize how fragile democracy is and how important it is for families to gather. One of those families that is major movement of civil rights is the family that we honor through Maud Coleman. Yvonne, will you unmute, please? Miss Yvonne Hollins is our.
Yeah. Oh, I'm finally able to get in. I don't know what it was.
Can you take your camera off? So could you share with the other families that are on the line the number of Maud Coleman descendants that you have discovered and the distance
All of them thus far, well, I know that there's been an increase, but it's over 160 currently.
And we've been working with the Maud Coleman family to create a Maud Coleman memory box at the State Library of digitized artifacts. As you know, Maud Coleman's name appears on the monument. There is also a tree planted to her civil rights work.
Yes.
In the 1920s, at the time of the race riots in Harrisburg, trying to register Black women to vote. So this will be a year that we acknowledge Maud's work on August 26th, which is the passage of the 19th Amendment. August 26th, 1920 is Pennsylvania and the passage. We were the 7th state in the Union to vote for the passage.
Mhm.
Although Dauphin County and Central Pennsylvania voted against women having the right to vote.
Mm.
So Maud went into the streets, at this time of riots, and so we always welcome the Maud Coleman family there, but we'll do a salute to these women who worked hard to remind us that just because the law has passed the right to vote doesn't mean that it is safe for you to practice your franchise. And this will be a day for women in general and Black women in particular to be heralded on the steps of the Capitol.
Yes.
That rotunda. And the call before the national election. So, just a reminder for all those people who are bugging my phone. We are a nonprofit organization. We are not talking about who to vote for. You know that already. We are just reminding you to get out and turn out to vote. Use your kitchen table as a registration desk and have some democracy dinner. So, Ms. Yvonne is also the steward of our monument landscape and our exemplars landscape, and is responsible for the rotation of the reeds at the monument. So the Maud Coleman Stewardship Fund donates $2,500 each year. Here comes a commercial, you all, okay? Maud Coleman's Fund donates $2,500 each year to the maintenance and the upkeep of the monument and the exemplars grove. And we encourage you to match their donation in any amount that you can.
And we also, every Sunday after church, I go down and I sweep the circle to make sure that it's representable during the weekend. And my niece, Joy Gray, she also helps to sweep the leaves and just making sure that it's representable.
And her grandson is our time capsule deputy.
Yep, CJ.
Our grandson, we planted a time capsule for the 100 Voices in the exemplars garden. Had to be open in 2060. CJ will be about 50 years old, and he's deputized on behalf of all of us to be around and to open that time capsule.
And he assists every time that I put a different wreath up at the monument. He's always there to assist. He's 6 years old now.
He's 6 years old. So let me go to the chat room and see if there are questions in the chat rooms or comments now that descendants would like to make. Or we ask you to look in your basements, look in your Bibles, look in your closets for those old photographs. We promise you, if you have to take it out of the frame, We will treat it right. We will scan it, but we are looking for visuals for the 25 people honored on the banners. If we can't find visuals, we may have to use other documents, perhaps birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates in graphic ways. David Pettigrew and his students have collected some of these, but other documents that you would like to perhaps represent in the texture, we'll use what we can, but we're hoping that this is a stunning example. There are about 100,000 visitors to the state capitol every quarter, and so impressing these people with this vision. Here are some formats. Yes, we are going to try to do family meetings quarterly. This was the first family meeting. So we will do, we'll announce the second quarter once the banners are up in April. And we do hope that there is a press event to inaugurate the banner installation and the Amtrak installation. So look for them. But we plan to do one meeting like this every quarter, thanks to the assistance of the library. Yes, please look on the library site for these really beautiful cards. I will send everybody, I got the PDF, but you know that I'm technically illiterate when it comes to social media. But I will send everybody who's on this call the PDF of the 8 book cards, and you can start your own family reading circles. Such as life touched us all. So again, it's the lens of Chester's world, not the spotlight on Chester. And we hope that we can connect multicultural literacy during this campaign. Last words, last thoughts. Those of you who have access can just unmute for last words, last thoughts, or those of you can place your name, your questions in the chat room. Then I will wish you.
Linwood, I'm just pleased to see that this was recorded. For some reason, we were just locked out. And then eventually Ashley sent me the link again, and I was just able to get in. So I'm glad that it was recorded because I missed the whole first section. I kept texting you to let you know that I wasn't in yet.
Oh, I thought you got in when I got in.
No.
Yes, several of us had those challenges, but Ashley is.
I know. I admit that
Ashley is
those
Jim. You know, I don't know how she keeps it all going, but I hope she stays.
She's good. She's very good. She eventually sent something to me, so I was able to get in at that time. So I appreciate Ashley greatly.
Dr. Pettigrew, the large check that MNT gave us was followed by the real check. So we will be able to provide stipends for your students to start design work with Bob. So thank you all very much. Be blessed. Please say a prayer for our good sister, Gloria Martin Roberts, whose mother passed. Yvonne, as our stewardship chair, sent a wreath to Hooper's funeral home on our behalf. Think of her on Thursday during that funeral. And
Linwood, there's a question in your chat, from Sean Harvey. It said, would it be possible to receive a calendar of all the different events during the 2024 via email? So I just wanted to make sure that I brought that to your attention. Not that I should have done that, but I did.
That excellent. And I will take that to the library and the Chester collection when I have the communication meeting with, because we do put out a newsletter through the library, and we need to just make sure that all of you are. So thank you. And thank you, Mr. Harvey, for coming. We look forward to your family joining our circles. the descendants of the old 8th Ward and the descendants of the USCT are referred to as the White Carnation Society. And so please also look for White Carnation Society updates and events. Until we get a chance to really be in a room together, I will keep you in my thoughts and my be well,
care.
blessed, and good evening, friends.
Thank you all.
Thank you. See you,
Thank-
Bob.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
See you,
Bob.
David.
See
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, David. Thank you,
Good to be
everybody.
with you.
Bye-bye.